No one remembered the sky that day. When the ship appeared above the Arctic horizon, shimmering like glass and soundless as a falling feather, every radio frequency on Earth cracked into static. The governments of the world scrambled for explanation. Meteor, drone, satellite. But the truth was heavier and stranger. By the time the vessel melted through the clouds and hovered above the ice shelf, scientists and soldiers alike were already there. They had been tracking signals for weeks, pulses that resembled language, though not one ever catalogued before. And then the door opened. She stepped out. No armor. No weapon. Just a figure draped in threads that shimmered like moonlight reflecting on oil. Her skin was pale with a faint translucence, her veins pulsing like the light beneath deep water. Her eyes, vast and dark as orbit itself, didn't blink. She said nothing. They called her Aria. No one knew if that was her name or merely what the sound of the signal resembled, but the name stuck. From that moment, the world divided itself into two kinds of people. Those who feared her silence and those who tried to understand it. To the researcher, Dr. Nathan Corrin had never believed in first contact. He was a linguist, not a dreamer. For 15 years, he studied the roots of forgotten tongues, proto-languages buried beneath history. But now, in the cold metallic halls of the Polar Containment Center, he found himself standing before a being whose silence was louder than any word. Aria sat in the observation room behind glass reinforced with alloys stronger than steel. Every day, scientists came to test her. Sound frequencies, thermal imaging, electromagnetic probes. Every day she did nothing except watch. It wasn't apathy in her eyes, Nathan noticed. It was something deeper, like mourning. He requested permission to study her directly, not through machines but through patience. His superiors hesitated. Her presence caused electrical disturbances, even psychological ones. 2 staff members had already resigned after claiming they'd heard her in their dreams. But Nathan persisted. He wasn't chasing glory. He wanted to understand the silence. Permission was granted for a 30-day observation cycle. On the first day, he entered her chamber. No restraints. No translator drones. Only a notebook and a quiet determination. Aria turned her head slowly toward him. He sat on the floor several meters away and said softly, "I'm Nathan." She didn't blink. He continued, "If you can understand me, that's enough for now." She tilted her head slightly, as if adjusting to the vibration of his voice. And so each day he came back. He spoke of the ocean, of language, of music, human things. He played her recordings of whale songs, and though she didn't react, the pulse of the lights around her changed subtly, synchronizing to the rhythm of the sounds. By the 10th day, he had noticed something extraordinary. The air pressure around her shifted when she was spoken to. It was as if her silence itself bent the space between them. On the 12th day she reached out, slowly, and touched the transparent glass. The glass sang. A low hum rippled through the floor, and Nathan's instruments began recording frequencies similar to human brainwaves. She wasn't using sound. She was communicating in resonance. 3. The whisper in the dark. The scientists called it quantum empathy, a resonance that transcended language. When she spoke, it wasn't through sound but through emotional wavelengths that bypassed the ear and struck directly at the nervous system. Nathan, however, felt something else, a connection that wasn't merely scientific. One night, during a power outage caused by another one of her silent pulses, Nathan found himself trapped in the chamber with her. The emergency lights flickered crimson. Aria stood, her silhouette framed by the trembling shadows. For the first time she moved toward him. Her eyes reflected the flicker of the dying lights, like 1,000 galaxies compressed into human form. Then, without sound, a wave of feeling struck him. Grief, loneliness, and the faintest thread of hope. He gasped. It wasn't pain but memory, one that wasn't his. He saw, through her eyes, a world of towering crystal structures bathed in turquoise light. A sky where stars were born every night. He saw beings like her, luminous and silent, their communication woven through frequencies of emotion, not speech. And then, destruction. He saw a cosmic rupture, an implosion of light devouring their world. He saw her escape, the last of her kind. The silence wasn't a choice, it was a wound. When he came to, she was kneeling before him. Her eyes were wet, not tears but condensed light sliding down her cheeks. Nathan whispered, "You're alone." And though she didn't answer, he felt it, a faint echo in his mind, yes. For the experiment. Word spread through the facility. Area had responded. The higher authorities saw this as progress. They decided to accelerate the research. Machines were brought in, neural interfaces, frequency amplifiers, mind translation matrices. Nathan protested. "She's not an experiment. She's a survivor." They ignored him. They attached sensors to her skin, which shimmered faintly like a living aurora. The readings were beyond comprehension. Her neural frequencies intertwined with electromagnetic patterns across multiple dimensions. When they increased the power, the facility shook. Greens went black. The containment glass began to glow. "Stop it!" Nathan shouted, running toward the control panel. Too late. The resonance peaked, and then silence. The lights died again, and for a moment, it felt as though the universe had stopped breathing. When emergency systems restored, Aria was unconscious. Her skin flickered between visible and transparent, like she was fading between realities. Nathan stayed by her side while others left. He touched her hand gently, afraid she might dissolve into nothingness. Her fingers twitched. He whispered, "I'll protect you. I promise." And though no sound came from her, a faint whisper brushed across his consciousness again. "You feel what I feel." That night he made a choice. He smuggled her out. The escape. The Arctic storm howled as Nathan drove the armored transport across the ice plains. Aria sat in the back seat, wrapped in thermal sheets. She watched the swirling snow outside as if memorizing it. Drones pursued them, bright dots cutting through the night sky. The facility had declared him rogue, the alien classified as potentially destabilizing to human cognition. He didn't care. At the edge of the shelf, an abandoned research outpost stood half-buried in snow. He parked there and guided her inside. The building groaned with age and cold, but it was shelter. For the first time, Aria spoke without resonance, just a faint exhale of breath. It wasn't a word, more like a sigh that trembled with effort. Nathan froze. "You're trying to speak." She looked at him, lips trembling. The sound that came was fractured like glass under strain. "Why, protect me?" It was the first sound she had ever made. He knelt beside her. "Because you don't deserve to be broken for what you are." Her eyes softened, and though her body still shimmered with unstable light, she managed a faint smile, small but real. 6. The chase for 3 days they hid. Nathan recorded her condition. Her body emitted waves that interfered with radio signals, meaning tracking drones couldn't pinpoint them easily. But each time she tried to speak, the air temperature dropped drastically. Communication seemed to drain her energy. They shared silent moments in the glow of flickering lanterns. Nathan spoke about Earth's history, about art, about how humans also destroyed what they loved. She listened intently. Once she reached toward his face, fingers trembling as if tracing the shape of a language unspoken. "You are noise," she said weakly, smiling again. He laughed, the sound echoing in the small outpost. "Humans are very noisy." She nodded. "But beautiful noise." It was the second thing she ever said. But peace didn't last. At dawn on the fourth day, a hum filled the air, the unmistakable vibration of search aircraft. Nathan looked through the window and saw beams of light slicing through the storm. "They've found us." Arya stood. Her eyes burned with determination. The glow around her intensified, shaking the walls. "Arya, no. They'll think you're attacking." She placed a hand over his heart. "I end soon." He shook his head, panic rising. "No, you don't have to." Her gaze softened. "My kind linked to home. When home died, we fade." He realized then that her silence, her fading body, it wasn't a disease. 'Twas entropy. Her connection to her world was dissolving. The aircraft above opened fire. Not bullets, but electromagnetic pulses meant to disable her. The first pulse hit. The outpost's roof exploded in a storm of light. Nathan was thrown backward. Through the smoke and static, he saw her, standing against the wind, her body breaking apart into streaks of radiant fragments. She raised her hand toward the sky. The second pulse hit, but this time it bounced back, tearing through the clouds like a thunderclap. The aircraft veered away, systems fried. She turned to him one last time, eyes luminous with sadness. "Nathan." Her voice was clear now, soft, trembling, utterly human. "Thank you for hearing my silence." And then she was gone. Her body dissolving into motes of light that drifted upward, swallowed by the aurora. 7. Aftermath. The following morning, rescue teams found Nathan unconscious amid the ruins. The official report labeled the event as a containment breach leading to unknown atmospheric discharge. They erased all mention of Arya's words. Nathan was interrogated, confined, and eventually released under supervision. They told him she never existed, that the stress had induced hallucinations. But he knew the truth. He felt it every time the wind whispered through the night, faint, musical, as if her resonance still lingered in the air. Months later, he returned to his home by the coast. He could no longer dream without seeing her world. The crystalline towers, the turquoise skies, the silence that once carried galaxies. One evening, while recording ocean waves for research, his equipment detected an anomaly, a harmonic frequency embedded in the sound. He filtered the signal, enhanced it, and froze. It was her voice. Faint, delicate, unmistakable. "Nathan," she whispered through the static. "Not gone. I am between." He stared at the recorder, tears blurring his vision. "Arya, where are you?" The signal pulsed again, a rhythm like a heartbeat. "Every sound you make," she said. "I hear." And then silence. But this time it didn't feel empty. The return years passed. Humanity moved on, new discoveries, new conflicts. The Arctic incident faded into rumor, a ghost story among scientists. Nathan retired quietly, spending his days mapping the harmonic structures of natural sounds. Yet, each pattern seemed to hum with her signature, like she'd woven herself into the fabric of the world. Then, one night, during a global aurora event caused by solar storms, every communication device on Earth flickered. Nathan's old recorder activated by itself. A single voice emerged, clearer than ever. "Nathan." He dropped his pen, heart pounding. "Arya." The room trembled as the air shimmered with faint blue light. And there, slowly materializing, was her silhouette, luminous and fragile. Not physical but holographic, woven of pure energy. "I learned your noise," she said with a faint smile. "It kept me alive." He stepped forward, tears falling freely. "You came back." "Not fully," she said. "Your sound gave me form. You remembered me." Her eyes glowed brighter, and for the first time he saw joy in them. "I speak now because of you." Her hand reached out, made of light and memory, brushing against his cheek. Then the aurora outside intensified, flooding the world with colors unseen by human eyes. "I must go," she whispered. "But listen. Always listen." And then, with a final pulse of light, she vanished once more, leaving behind a faint melody humming through every electronic device across the globe. Scientists called it a resonance artifact. Nathan called it her song. 9. The legacy. Nathan published one last paper before his death, a study not about aliens, but about the language of silence. It spoke of communication beyond words, of empathy as the highest form of speech. His notes ended with a single line. "She whispered her first words to a human, and in that whisper she taught us how to listen." After his passing, strange phenomena occurred whenever auroras appeared. People reported hearing faint music, soft as breath, woven into the wind. Some dismissed it as myth. Others believed. But for those who truly listened, the sound carried something deeper. A memory of a woman who never spoke, whose silence became a bridge between worlds. Epilogue. Far beyond Earth, in the expanse of interstellar void, a ripple moved through the dark. Subtle, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. If one could translate its pattern into human sound, it would form a single whispered phrase. "I am still listening." And somewhere beneath the endless northern sky, the wind carried her song once more.